Three people who must exit your life if you want to be great. You cannot go into your destiny locked arms with people who are walking the other way. And I told a true story from Africa yesterday that two men were at the Lagos airport getting ready to fly out. But they were two guys flying to different cities. They struck up a friendship while they were eating. The one man that was going to another city sat with that man at his gate and they were talking. And then they announced that that man has to board. And so when he said, I have to go, he asked the ticketing agent, when is the flight for Kano leaving? He said, oh, that flight already left. What is the moral of that story? If you hang out with people who are headed in a different direction than you, you'll miss your flight. You have to pursue your destination and hang out with the people who are going to where you're going. You're sitting at the right gate at an airport, even if you lose track of time. The fact that everybody's getting up and going to the door, you won't miss your flight. But if you're somewhere else out in the airport chilling with people at the bar, then you'll miss your flight and not even know that it left. That's how life is. And people make the huge mistake of thinking they can go into their destiny dragging all their friends from grade school and high school and college and Bible college with them. And it doesn't work, because as time passes, more and more people are going to fall off. They get comfortable where they're at. They're not interested in going further. And so you have a decision to make. You can stay with them. You can waste your energy trying to drag them up the mountain, or you can understand that many relationships are seasonal and people change. When Judas changed, Jesus realized it and just told him, go and do what you're going to do. He didn't say, no, there must be a way. No, when people make up their mind that they're not interested in pursuing the high things in God,
that's good.
You're going to have to make up your mind whether to stay with them or whether to leave them behind and go forward. And I'll just say while I'm on the subject, it doesn't have to be some big scene. You just keep moving forward, and the people fall away on their own. You don't have to have a meeting with them or a text message. You've changed, and I'm moving into my destiny, and you're not interested in moving into your. Just have silent victory. Just keep going forward. Amen. You don't owe anybody an explanation, but you're going to have endless frustration in life when you're intent on keeping everybody who started with you when you were 10 years old on the journey that God has for you. I went to Bible college with people that I was very close with that don't even serve the Lord now. They don't even believe in Christianity. People change. Yeah. You have to make up your mind that you're just going to keep going forward. I mean, it's like the first song they taught me to sing growing up in church. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. Though none go with me, still I will follow. They were programming you. That as you walk this Christian life, people aren't going to be interested in going. One of the commenters said, it's sad when the people are your blood relatives, but that'll happen too. And we'll deal with that. Because notice, our father in the faith, Abraham, the first instruction that God gave him. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. The Lord said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family. Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you, and I will make you great. Before Abraham could get anything from God, he had to leave his hometown, his father's house. Then you read later that Abraham's father, Terah, was an idol worshiper and made idols for a living. Your family oftentimes is not going to come along for the ride with you. Now, often, they'll come back 10 years later and say, we realize we missed it. When they're on marriage number 3 and you're still on marriage number 1, your fruit starts to speak for you. But for you to try to get everybody to see things your way, especially when you're 20 years younger than them, and they think they know everything, you're wasting your time. 3 people who must exit your life if you want to be great. Number 1, turn to 2 Samuel 13, 1 to 34. 2 Samuel 13, 1 to 34. I'll have you read 2 Samuel 13, 1 to 17, and then I'll do 18 to 34. 2 Samuel 13. You do 1 to 18, 1 to 17.
Let me just do this in this translation here.
Do you have New Living?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, began to rule
Second Samuel?
2 Samuel. Oh, no, I'm 2 Kings. I was going to say. 13.
Mm-hmm.
Now David's son, Absalom, had a beautiful sister named Tamar, and Ammon, her half-brother, fell desperately in love with her. Ammon became so obsessed with Tamar that he became ill. She was a virgin, and Ammon thought he could never have her. But Ammon had a very crafty friend, his cousin Jonadab. He was the son of David's brother Shimeah. One day, Jonadab said to Amnon, "What's the trouble? Why should the son of a king look so dejected morning after morning?" So Amnon told him, "I'm in love with Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister." "Well," Jonadab said, "I tell you what to do. Go back to bed and pretend you're ill. When your father comes to see you, ask him to let Tamar come and prepare some food for you. Tell him you'll feel better if she prepares it as you watch and feeds you with her own hands." So Ammon lay down and pretended to be sick. And when the king came to him, Amnon asked him, "Please let my sister Tamar come and cook my favorite dish as I watch. Then I can eat it from her own hands." So David agreed and sent Tamar to Amnon's house to prepare food for him. When Tamar arrived at Amnon's house, she went to the place where he was lying down, and he could watch her mix some dough. Then she baked his favorite dish for him. But when she set the serving tray before him, he refused to eat. "Everyone get out of here," Amnon told his servants, so they all left. Then he said to Tamar, "Now bring the food into my bedroom and feed it to me." So Tamar took his favorite dish to him. But as she was feeding him, he grabbed her and demanded, "Come to bed with me, my darling sister." "No, my brother," she cried. "Don't be foolish. Don't do this to me. Such wicked things aren't done in Israel. Where could I go in my shame? And you would be called one of the greatest fools in Israel. Please, just speak to the king about it, and he will let you marry me." But Amnon wouldn't listen to her. And since he was stronger than she was, he raped her. Then suddenly Amnon's love turned to hate, and he hated her even more than he had loved her. "Get out of here," he snarled at her. "No, no," Tamar cried. "Sending me away now is worse than what you've already done to me." But Amnon wouldn't listen to her. He shouted for his servant and demanded, "Throw this woman out and lock the door behind her." So the servant put her out and locked the door behind her. She was wearing a long, beautiful robe.
You got it. That was through 17.
Okay.
So then you skip down. Now watch what happens. Verse 23. 2 years later, so not immediately, Absalom's sheep. Absalom was Tamar's brother. He heard about what happened and never forgot about it. 2 years later, when Absalom's sheep were being sheared at Baal Hazor near Ephraim, Absalom invited all the king's sons to come and feast. He went to the king and said, "My sheep shearers are now at work. Would the king and his servants please come to celebrate the occasion with me?" The king replied, "No, my son, if we all come, we would be too much of a burden on you." But Absalom pressed him. But the king would not come, though he gave Absalom his blessing. "Well then," Absalom said, "if you can't come, how about sending my brother Amnon with us?" "Why Amnon?" the king asked. But Absalom kept pressing the king until finally he let all his sons attend, including Amnon. So Absalom prepared a feast fit for a king. Absalom told his men, "Wait until Amnon gets drunk. Then at my signal, kill him. Don't be afraid." So it's like a mafia hit in Israel. Invite the guy over for dinner. He thinks you're throwing a party for him. Take courage and do it. So at Absalom's signal, just gave him a wink, they murdered Amnon. Then the other sons of the king jumped on their mules and fled, but he got the guy that he wanted. As they were on their way back to Jerusalem, this report reached David. Absalom has killed Absalom has killed all the king's sons. Not one is left alive. The king got up, tore his robe, and threw himself on the ground. His advisors also tore their clothes in horror and sorrow. But just then, Jonadab, the guy that facilitated the whole thing, the son of David's brother Shimei, arrived and said, "No, don't believe that all the king's sons have been killed. It was only Amnon. Absalom has been plotting this ever since Amnon raped his sister Tamar." You know, So now he's in front